Guys, on this installment of PJ Cook Sexy Food, we're going to be making pork Osso Bucco. We're going to be using pork shanks instead of veal for our Osso Bucco today. It's going to be tender, it's going to be delicious, it's going to be a lot less expensive. So let's get started.
So the ingredients for our pork Osso Bucco, what we're going to need is we're going to need 2 cups of a light beef stock or veal stock, 2 cups of a full-bodied white wine. We're going to need half a cup of carrot, half a cup of celery, 3/4 of a cup of onion. We're going to need 2 tablespoons of freshly squeezed lemon juice. We're going to need the zest or the rind of 1 full lemon. We're going to need 1 tablespoon of chopped garlic, 2 tablespoons of tomato paste, 2 tablespoons of olive oil, 1 teaspoon of salt, 1½ teaspoons of black pepper. We're going to need 2 bay leaves, 1 large sprig of thyme, a couple of sprigs of fresh parsley, as well as 1 sprig of fresh rosemary. And what would pork Osso Bucco be without our pork shanks? The first thing I want to do is I want to make sure that our pork shanks are really well dry. So I'm just going to blot them dry with this paper towel on all sides. I'm going to take all of our salt and our pepper. I'm going to sprinkle that all over our pork shanks. Get them all nice and coated with salt and pepper. Now we will set these off to the side for a few minutes while we heat up our oil in our pan. So over medium-high heat, I'm going to go ahead and add our olive oil to the bottom of a large Dutch oven. And let that heat up just so it starts to shimmer, which it has. And now I'm going to add in our pork shanks. There we go. This will take about 4 to 6 minutes per side. I want to brown them evenly all around. It's been about 15 minutes. I went in and I've been browning the meat on all sides. You can see how beautifully golden it is all around. I'm going to go ahead and now remove our meat from the pan. I'm going to put it on a plate. I'm going to set this off to the side. In the meantime, in the bottom of this pot, we have all that beautiful fond as well as the fat that rendered from the pork and that olive oil. So now we're going to toss in our vegetables. And we're going to saute that around for a couple of minutes, just until they start to soften. Okay, so it's been a couple of minutes. Our vegetables have started to soften. They're picking up a little bit of color. Now what we want to do is we want to add our garlic to the pan. I'm just going to stir that around for about 30 seconds, just until it becomes fragrant. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to add in our tomato paste. And we're just going to stir that around and get that mixed in with the vegetables well. And we're going to toast it in the oil that's still in the pan. Now you can see the fond, that hard brown stuff that's been developing in the bottom of this pan from the meat, the vegetables, the tomato paste. That is an amazing amount of flavor that we've just developed in the bottom of this pot. And to get that off the bottom of the pot, we're going to do so with the 2 cups of white wine. We're going to be scraping off the bottom of this pot, making sure we get every bit off the bottom. Okay, so we went ahead and scraped up all the bits from the bottom of the pan. You can see how nice this looks. What we're going to do now is we're going to let this sit for a couple of minutes till the wine reduces by half. As you can see from the line on the side of the pot, our wine has reduced by half. What we've done is we went ahead and we cooked out the alcohol and we've reduced the wine, concentrating its flavors. So now I'm going to go ahead and add in our broth, or our stock, which in our case was, we used veal, but as I said, you could use beef, you could use chicken, you could use any type of stock that you want. I'm just going to stir that around. We're going to get this up to a nice simmer. I'm going to throw in those lemon peels that we had, the bay leaves, thyme, sprigs of parsley, the rosemary. We're going to get this up to a nice full rolling boil. Oop, almost forgot the lemon juice. Okay, so now that our braising liquid has come up to a nice boil, what we're going to do is we're going to reintroduce our shanks right back into the pan. And let this simmer away on the stovetop for a couple of minutes while we heat our oven up to 250 degrees. Once our oven is heated to 250, we're going to clamp on the lid. We're going to pop this in the oven for about 2 hours. At the 1 hour mark, I'm going to go in and I'm going to flip them over. Okay, so our meat's been in the oven for about 2.5 hours. Now we're going to take the lid off and you can see how beautiful this has become. So nice and tender and braised. You can stick a fork right into the meat so nice and easily. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take the meat out of the pan. I'm going to have a nice big bed of polenta waiting for it. I'm going to rest that on the polenta and then I'm going to strain the sauce and pour it over the top. Okay, now I'm going to spoon over some of the reserved cooking liquid. You can serve the rest of this cooking liquid on the side in a gravy boat if you wish. Look how amazing that looks. The juice just flowing over the top. And to finish, maybe garnish with a little bit of rosemary and some thyme, the herbs that we actually cooked with. Whenever you're going to garnish with something, try to garnish with something that you actually used in the recipe. So there you go. Pork Osso Bucco. Easy to make at home. Doesn't take a lot of ingredients. Ask your butcher for the cut. They'll be able to provide it to you. May take a long time in the oven, but it's definitely worth it. It's tender. It's delicious. So I hope you enjoyed this recipe. I hope you tried it at home. And thank you for tuning in to PJ Cooks Sexy Food. We'll see you next time.